In this hour, we want to talk about what it will take to deliver credible elections in 2027. And in studio, I do have former CEO of the IEBC, that is Major James Oswago. People actually don't know that James Oswago was in the army at one point. He was just giving me a brief history of his time at the army. Karibu sana James Oswago. A very good morning.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. You are a major in the army. That must have been something, eh? People, I guess people don't leave the army at this particular point. Wanangojanga wafike mpaka brigadier, generally, so that they can actually exit. But you left it at major. Why?
I read a book a long time ago.
Yes.
I can't remember the authors, but it was a book about mismanagement of the army in Vietnam. And the author said, after reviewing history of jeshes,
Yes.
said, every good military has an inbuilt system of getting rid of its best.
Is that so?
That's what the author said.
So, are you saying that you did not leave the army left you?
No. It means that every military in the world has an inbuilt mechanism of getting rid of its best. Meaning, the people who survive may not necessarily be the best.
Okay.
The people who stay there for 40 years.
Now I get the inner meaning, yes.
Because that requires other characteristics like loyalty, characteristics like professionalism, careerism, and what have you.
Yeah. All right. City, Major Oswago here was just telling me, give me rather just a brief overview of his time in the army.
Major retired.
Yes, Major retired. Yes, of course. Retired Major.
You have to get it right. He's not retired Major. Ask him.
Major retired.
Yes.
Okay. Major RTD.
Ask him. He's the professional.
No.
Which one comes before? Does retired come before the major, or the major comes? How do you say it?
I think, first of all, there are different types of commissions. There's a regular commission, and there's a non-regular commission. When you get a regular commission, that means that rank is yours.
Oh.
So you don't retire from a regular commission, but you can leave the armed forces
and maintain the title.
Yeah, but you see, you'll never catch me anywhere introducing myself as a major or as a retired major. I've never done it, and I will never do it.
Okay. Interesting.
It follows me, but I never do it. City here calls me major, but
wewe unajua tu ni James Oswago.
I think I'm happy with that.
All right, let's get right into it. And right now, all eyes are on the IEBC. Before we even get to ask ourselves whether we are able to have a credible election in 2027, let's just observe what happened in a few weeks ago in the different areas where we had by-elections. A lot of violence in some places. Some places people were complaining of voter bribery and so on and so forth. A lot has been said about the IEBC's performance at that particular point. What's your comment as far as the performance in the by-elections are concerned?
Article 81 of the Kenyan Constitution deals with what it calls the principles of electoral system. And there are many. The first one is that the electoral system must be able to enable Kenyans to exercise the rights, the political rights enshrined in Article 38 of the Constitution. And that Article 38 of the Constitution talks about things like you belong a right to belong to a political party, stand for election, the usual political rights. So the one principle is that the system must be able to enable you to exercise those rights. Then you have the gender principle. One of those qualities is that the election must be free and fair. And the Constitution lists what really adds up to a free and fair election. It says for an election to be free and fair, it must be conducted by secret ballot. Number two, it must be free from violence intimidation, improper influence, and corruption. And thirdly, it must be transparent. And lastly, that the way the election is managed must be such that it is accountable and transparent also. So if you're asking me whether these elections met that threshold, then we have to ask ourselves certain question. Was there violence? Because Article 81 says that for an election to be free and fair, it must be free of violence. So was there violence? And if there was violence, at what level? To what extent? Was there violence such that it could impede the exercise of the free will of the people? 2, it says they must be free from improper influence, corruption, and bribery. Was there bribery? Okay. There was manifest bribery in all places. There was violence in all the places. So, given those alone, means that what we went through in 27th of November in many of those places, in my view, did not meet the constitutional threshold. And I remember it says that one of the principles is that it must facilitate the exercise, the realization of the political rights in Article 38. See, even that, in my view, was not facilitated in this election. So it did not meet those basic minimalist standards as prescribed in the Constitution. So to that extent, I would say that election did not meet that threshold.
So in places where we saw violence, for instance in Kasipul, what was the IEBC supposed to do to ensure that, especially in the aftermath, because we were done with those, the winners were declared and people have taken oath of office. Was that the process that was supposed to take place, as I have mentioned it?
So we have to be very careful now. The Constitution says that election must be free from violence, intimidation, and all those things that we have listed. Meaning, and I've told you, because it didn't reach that threshold, it fell below the constitutional standard. Apportioning responsibility is a different issue.
Okay.
Was that an IEBC issue or not?
Okay.
In my view, there are certain things that can be done to achieve a free, fair, and accountable election, and they belong elsewhere. Because running an election is a corporate venture. It's a cooperative affair. It involves many other government agencies, involves many other government bodies, which work complementing IEBC and together with the IEBC. So in order for the IEBC to deliver the election that Kenyans want, Kenyans must laser focus on IEBC, but also laser focus on those other institutions whose work complement what IEBC does. The level of violence that you saw was not within the remit of IEBC. It is within the remit of central government. So if the central government facilitated or condoned or choreographed that kind of violence, IEBC have very little to do about it.
So,
but IEBC can, on their own, report to Kenyans and say, this level of violence is not our own.
We have security in this building, for example, and if violence were to break out in this office, it is our responsibility as the hosts of this show to stop the show to ensure the safety of our guests, in this case yourself and also ourselves. So we will stop the show and ensure that first of all we are safe before we resume, if at all we shall resume. And the reason I've chosen this as an example is because the IEBC was conducting elections in these places, and in places where violence was witnessed, they had the opportunity, or they had the mandate to say, we are stopping this election until this thing is safe to continue with. And in some instances, perhaps it wasn't even safe, so completely nullify that particular exercise until such a time where it can be undertaken. We didn't see that.
Yes. And that comes to something else I didn't mention amongst those principles listed in Article 81. One of them is that the election, for an election to be free and fair, it must be conducted by an independent body. I didn't mention that. An independent body does the sorts of things we're talking about. In other words, if IEBC was sufficiently independent before the election is done,
yes,
in all these constituencies there is an IEBC manager. In every constituency there is a dedicated IEBC manager and their staff. They live there. So when you have a by-election or a general election, they know. They know the politician, they know the political temperature, they know all these shenanigans.
Okay.
And they are able on their own to focus and predict whether there will be peace or there will be no peace. In other words, they are able to coordinate with the local security services on the kind of measures to be taken. I agree with you entirely that where IEBC, in their own assessment, arrives at the decision that an election cannot be done because of the level of violence. One, they have to raise that with the relevant government agency. And if that government agency does not respond to their satisfaction, IEBC must be able to do something. It has never been done in Kenya. But it's something that IEBC should be able to do in order to safeguard their own independence. For example, if there is an election like there was in Magarini, and there is a tsunami in the coast, IEBC will suspend the election. And they'll say because of inclemental weather, because of this, because of that, we were not able to run the election. Equally, if there is egregious violence in a particular area, IEBC should be able to say, first, we are suspending you, the individual that they regard to be responsible.
Yes.
Even disqualifying you. Or to say, in the extreme cases, that election will not be done until some other time. That is one of the tickets that IEBC has to demonstrate their own independence. Why? Because at the end of the day, what Kenyans want is an election that reflects their own will. IEBC's job is to ensure that an election that is done reflects the will of the Kenyan people. So I agree with you entirely that just like IEBC can cancel or postpone an election due to inclemental weather, the same IEBC has the mandate, one, before the election to say the level of violence here will not allow us to reflect the will of the people. But if the violence occurs during the currency of an election, the same IEBC can come and say, what we witnessed was such that there was no election.
Because even during the campaign period, we saw a lot of irregularities, if I may call them that, where we also had government officials. We're talking about the levels of PS and CS and so on, and even including the deputy president campaigning for different candidates in the different regions that these elections are being held, something that is against the constitution. In that case, what does the law say about what IEBC can do in such a case, where we can see a CS walking into a polling station, and this particular CS is probably not even a voter in that region on the morning of the voting. What does the law say about the IEBC's responsibility in such a case?
I already told you. The Constitution is very clear on what adds up to a free and fair election, and we have listed them. And Article 88 of the Constitution gives IEBC the power to conduct those elections.
Right.
And those elections must meet certain minimal standards. If IEBC were genuinely independent and had the authority, and somebody who is not supposed to be in a polling station goes to a polling station and infringes the regulation, IEBC should censor that individual. But it should not even come to that. It should be done long before that. If people in government knew for sure that if as a minister I walk into a polling station, there will be some sanction from IEBC, they'll not do it. There will be no minister who, if they knew that they are not required to campaign, they are not required to go to a polling station, if they knew that if they went to a polling station, IEBC will not be spineless and IEBC will take sanction, no minister will do that. But if they do so and IEBC goes through the motions and says, very well, this is what you did, we are asking the relevant government agency to take action. IEBC cannot take it to court, but IEBC can bring that to the public attention. IEBC can protest. IEBC can bring that infraction clearly and without any ambiguity and say, Minister Fulani did this and this and this, and this is against this and this provision. If IEBC doesn't do that, in the minds of the people, IEBC loses trust. It's not good for IEBC. But remember, the law says the body that is running election must be independent.
All right.
So when you put in to run an election a commission which is not independent, that commission cannot have the self-confidence to say, here is the canny. This cannot work.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. In Nigeria, there was somebody called Professor Jega. Professor Jega ran an election, I think 2012 there. And Nigeria was running one bad election after another bad election. So he was called. In Nigeria, they have something they call, I don't know the exact designation, but it's like the National Security Committee.
Okay.
I may get the designation wrong.
Yeah.
It's like the National Security Committee.
All right.
In that body, all the former heads of state are members. So
all of them
leaving.
Okay.
So because something had gone particularly wrong, an election had been wrong, this body was called. And the question is, how do we save Nigeria? So they select, look for somebody else. So they headhunted Professor Jega. He had had his own problem with Abacha in the past. So when he was called, he told them, yes, I'll do it. But I have one question. Will you allow me to do it? And they said, fine. Now, before that election, the election was done so badly that there were politicians who were found in their own homes with voter registration machines. They were registering voters on their own, in their own compounds.
The equivalent of Kim's kit here.
Yes. But not Kim's kit. The voter register. Kim's kit is for transmission. But there is that one where you register voters.
Yes.
So these people were registering votes on their own, in their own homes.
They had a biometric system, the whole works.
And when these fellows were asked, they said, but we are doing a national duty. We're just supporting the INEC, the Independent Nigerian Electoral Commission. You see, in the election before, there were about 14 million dead voters in the register. I mean, it was chaos. In that previous election, I was told by the chairperson of the managing director, the CEO of South African Electoral Commission. Observers from South Africa were going to observe an election in Nigeria. And when they arrived in Nigeria, they now called, the ballot papers were being printed in Durban. So they called Durban, we are here in Nigeria observing these elections. When did the ballot papers arrive?
Yeah.
The people in South Africa told them the ballot papers are on the tarmac. That is the day the election is going on.
And the papers are not yet even in the country.
Yes. Now that is the mess that happened before.
Yeah.
So what did this fellow do?
Yeah.
This is a long story.
Yeah, sure.
What did this fellow do when he arrived there? He asked for that question, and when he was allowed, during his term, there was nothing like people registering votes in their homes. That he killed it.
Yes.
Everybody who was in the commission, who had any connection to politics or politicians, whatever their level of rank, were thrown out. I mean, he ran the place.
Yes.
At the end of his tenure, the man did such a fantastic job.
Yes.
That there is an organization called IFS. IFS is the International Foundation for Electoral Systems. IFS gave him a recognition for outstanding work he did within that short period.
Yeah.
What is the point? The point is, when IEBC or an electoral management body is truly independent, there is nothing they can do. But remember, I told you, the professor first asked, will you let me do it?
And that, I think, was a very good question and a critical one at the point.
And when they said yes, and for the first time, the Nigerian government, nobody interfered with him.
Wow.
He ran it the way down. So if tomorrow they put CT as the chairman of IEBC,
yes.
If CT goes to be chairman of IEBC because of some
connection,
yeah, it will show. If CT goes to IEBC, not because of some connection,
yeah,
but because of careerism,
Merit.
You want to protect a career, or you want to actualize yourself, that is different. But there are people who would go to IEBC in order to do something out of principle, out of a commitment, to say that this must be done, and I think I can do it.
I will get back to this aspect of getting to do this because of what you said, careerism, meritocracy, or whatever. But there's a question I have here in regards to the role of the National Police Service in our elections. You did mention that IEBC just doesn't work alone. It works with other agencies. And I believe the police is one of those agencies, right? We also, in my opinion, again, I think the police fell short of my expectations as far as the elections are concerned. Talk about the bribery, talk about the violence, talk about the individuals who were not supposed to be where they were. And here I'm talking about, of course, the CSs and other perhaps government officials. What is the role of the police as far as elections are concerned, and why are they not performing it, perhaps, if they are not?
The police, of all the agencies in Kenya, the thing that Kenyans must know as regards the police, our police force are very well trained. They know the law. They understand the law backwards. The thing that happens in the Kenyan police is not lack of knowledge, is not competence, is not that. It is careerism. Okay? We have put people in senior position in the police force, not because of the professional requirements, but we have put them there in order to support the political ambitions, in order because of tribalism, because of this, because of this, because of that. And because of that, often the police do things that they themselves know should not be done. In this case, then, IEBC liaises with the police. I'm aware of that because I've run a general election, I've run a referendum, I've run several by-elections. I know that whenever there is a general election, whenever there is a by-election, there is close liaison between IEBC and the police formation at the lowest level possible coming up. And if there is an issue, IEBC will raise it with the police. Now, the police may proceed to do the work that we're talking about, something that is shoddy or bad, or, They are doing so not because they know, because they don't know, but they are doing so in service of expedient political interests. Okay, so I told you, running a free, fair, and accountable election is a joint venture.
Yeah,
it's a corporation, and just as much as you require an independent IEBC, so too you require an independent police. Nation police force. If you have the most independent IEBC and you have the most politicized police service, you will end up with all those things you are talking about. So if we want the election you are talking about, and I said earlier, we focus on IEBC, we focus elsewhere so that the ecosystem, so that the environment is conducive, is amenable to this thing that we want. If you focus only on IEBC, for instance, and you don't focus on the police force, you've not done much. Because the police, they know their work. The Kenya police are professionals, they know their work. If they are not doing it, it's not because they don't know. It's because they are bending to certain pressures. And they know those pressures are illicit, those pressures are illegal. Why do they do so? Two factors or three. One, because the promotion system, the recruitment, the promotion system there is based not on merit. It's based on any other consideration apart from merit. Number two is because the reward system, if a system rewards meritocracy, you get meritocratic commitment. If a system rewards loyalty, you only demonstrate loyalty by acts of sycophancy, acts of things like those. But maybe one day you'll have a police force. And by the way, by the police doing the things they're doing, they're violating the law. Because they know the law. The police knows what is to be done. And because they are not doing it, if you catch up with them 2 years later, you can take them to court.
We can. The police conversation is quite a deep one. We actually even had a mini conversation in the first hour just talking about, number one, their living conditions. So talking about the police from one aspect, I don't think we're even doing it justice. But I want to go back to also this issue of how we recruit an IEBC. The process here in Kenya,
an IEBC what? Commission?
A commission, yes. Like the one we have been led by Erastus at the CON. That process, is it the best? For instance, I do not know what is in other countries, but in countries where elections are successful or where we think they are successful, is this how they choose the commissions that determine the elections? Is there a better way perhaps that you know of ensuring that we have a commission in place?
In India has got a voter register of 900 million voters. When they go for an election, they have 1.5 million polling stations. When they go for an election, they have got 10 million clerks. But they have only 3 commissioners.
Huh?
3 commissioners.
3.
So you have the chief commissioner, you have the deputy, you have a third one.
And that's it.
And they are public servants. When they recruit theirs, you don't go through this pageantry of TV interviews, what have you know. They're public servants. See, ours here, you watch people on TV.
It's a spectacle.
It is, it's not that. So they're public servants.
We are trying to meet the quota for transparency. That's why it's on TV.
Okay. Now, in India, there are 3. Now, suppose you are recruited the chief commissioner.
Right.
He's your deputy. I'm the 3rd person. The arrangement is this. You will retire at the time public servants retire. When you retire as the chief commissioner of IEBC, your number 2 automatically succeeds you.
So there's no, again, now you have to go back to the drawing board.
There is nothing like that. Your number 2 succeeds you.
Then what happens to
and number 3 automatically becomes number 2. Then you look for the number 3.
So now the number 3 is the one that is recruited.
Yes. Now, by the time number 3 becomes the chief, number 3 has run almost 4 or 5 general elections. See, that preparation.
Yes.
It's automatic. There is nothing. You'll never go to India from 1947 when they became independence until last year but one is when a commissioner resigned. I think last year when they were almost running to the general election. They had a general election recently. Commissioners, they have run a very stable commission despite their turbulent politics like that. There is predictability, there is stability. Okay? And that is government. There's nobody like private, no, government. That's one example.
Okay.
Now, I gave you the example of Nigeria. And Nigeria has had some of the horrible elections in this world. Okay? The most horrible and horrid elections in Nigeria. But I've given you a single instance of Professor Tahiri Jega.
Yeah.
The fellow who ran an outstanding election. It is during his time that the President Goodluck Jonathan lost an election. That also is up. And Jonathan did 1 term.
Yes.
You see, it is during that time that because he put so many things in place, Jonathan lost.
Okay.
So that one is appointed by the political class. But despite being appointed by the political class, the character of the individual, the personality of the individual, and the mission of the individual determined what kind of commission it comes.
Okay.
That is Nigeria. So the point and Ghana, I have another point in Ghana also.
Yes.
There's somebody called Jam who was chairman. When I met him somewhere in US, he was about 70-something years old. And in 2012, they were doing a general election. And in the morning of the general election, they realized that the voting machines were not working.
In the morning?
In the morning of the election, they realized they were not working fully. What did he do? The commissioner sat down. Within 1 hour, they postponed the election to the next day. So when we arrived in his office, I found him seated with his feet on a coffee stool.
Right.
Completely relaxed. We were looking forward to see somebody flustered, somebody
stressed out.
Somebody. So he said, which one would you have preferred? Because you would have persisted with that, then you would be doing a fraud to the Ghanaian people. So we chose. The law allowed him to do that. So the commission postponed the election.
Okay.
What happened in that Ghana that day is because they call it power management. Exactly what happened to some extent in Kenya the year after.
Yes.
In our case, the IEBC could not even think of it. 2, I don't think we had people, and I was the CEO then, so include me there.
Yeah.
I don't think we had men of stature who would have said, these things are not functioning well, so in all these areas we are postponing the election. Okay. So to answer your question, before I finish,
yes,
in places like Canada, Australia, they have somebody called Chief Electoral Officer.
Who's the equivalent of a commission chairman here?
Yes.
Okay.
Canadians had a general election early this year. The fellow who ran that election is called the chief electoral officer. Okay. And the law is he has the law and everything else that allows him to do that. These are civil servants. Okay. So it is not really. It's a combination of many things. Ours is made to appear merit-based. Merit-based in the sense that, look, first you advertise, then you go through this long interview process, and then you pick. Okay? I can tell you that very rarely do you pick on merit. And maybe this is not the occasion to say it, but I can point few.
Yeah.
When we started as IEBC in 2009, they recruited a number of commissioners.
Yes.
They went through some process of interview. And the interview was being done by the Constitution of Kenya Review Commission, the one headed by this MP from Mandera, the lawyer. There was some kind of interview. You know, there were about 30 of them. And they went through some process. There was no interview. People had agreed.
The commission had already been agreed upon.
There was agreed. There was no interview worth talking about. That time they had not discovered that you can televise these things. But following year in 2010, because the constitution had provided that at the end of the IEBC, when the new constitution is promulgated, you will recruit new commissioners. So by the time they recruited new commissioners in August 2010, they now brought the TV. And there were a lot of recruitment. These are the commissioners where Isaac Hassan became chairman.
I remember.
I will tell you that it was not merit-based. I'll give you an example. The chairman of the recruiting agency was Ekuro Aukot, the one you know.
I know Korea.
And they advertised, and people were interviewed. At the end of the recruitment exercise, they published list of merit. Okay? Number 1 up to 10. Number 1 on the list of merit was Dr. Zibo. Number 2 was Engineer Sharawe. Number 3 was somebody called Jotham Arwa, a lawyer, a young man that day. He never became a commissioner. I will not go into why, but he never became a commissioner.
Okay.
After that, there was another recruitment by another chap. This time under Uhuru Kenyatta. Again, they came up with a list of merit. The fellow who was leading that list, on that top of that list of merit, never became a commissioner.
Why?
Because in the case of Jotham Arwa, it was politics. Or in all these cases, it is politics.
It's politics, okay.
Yes. Either regional politics or national politics. But what it boils to is that this is not meritocracy. This is loyalty.
Let me ask this question, James. We are talking about commissioners and we're saying it's a political, the results are based on the politics of the time. Are you insinuating that political party leaders have a say in who it is they feel is loyal to them who gets to be in that commission?
See, when you say political leaders...
political party leaders, I'm specific because when you say it's politics, I get the impression you're referring to horse trading because it can't be that everybody who's in that commission seems to be loyal to just one particular party. We're in a multi-party system. So, if it's a multi-party system, then it means the people who represent these various political parties have to sit and agree at some point. Yes. And they have to have their nominees, people who they think will serve their interest.
That is true. You will find that whether it is horse trading or not, but you will find that there are commissioners, and if you ask them once they have become commissioners, you know this was sponsored by so and so, a party or somebody. Okay? But their entry into IEBC must have been facilitated or eased by some political interest.
Okay.
In the sense that, but I've given you examples now.
Yes, you have.
And those examples show clearly that, because if you publish a list of, why do you publish a list of merit? Because you are saying we need 10 commissioners, we need 8 commissioners. And the list of merit has got 13 commissioners. Now, it does not mean that if the list of merit, if you are number one in the list of merit, you must be taken.
Why? Then why have the interview in the first place?
No. You can be excluded, but there must be a reason why. For instance, they can say City was number 2, but City is a terrorist sympathizer. For example, people get to know that this city had liaison with IFES,
Okay.
or with something like that. It's known. But in the absence of that, and you have published the list of merit, you must stick to it. So what do we require?
But I would have assumed that in the process of interviewing that brings forth this list of merit, some of these things are looked into. Or are we saying that there are things that may have escaped their attention and they are only looking at the lay down processes of what is required, and thereafter there's a discovery that there are other things about this person that perhaps was not given to them at the time of the interview, and they have now become apparent, and that is what now disqualifies them from being appointed?
For example, let's take the current commissioners. There was a commissioner, and it was said he was related to a senior operative in a political party. Very, very senior operative in a political party. And there were allegations that perhaps this could have exercised that influence. It may be true, it may not be true. And it does not mean that if you're related to a senior political chap, you don't apply for a job. But if this person was applying for a job, say, of Chief Justice, would you take him?
Of course not.
Of course not.
No, why not?
You would, of course not.
Everybody has relatives. You are blaming the fact that I'm related to someone.
No. Let me explain my perspective on that one. Because if anything happens in the future, because we are now predicting the future, right? If anything were to happen in the future because of the position that you hold, a lot of questions will be brought about your relationship with this particular individual that we are talking about. So, for example, City, that is why even when stations, TV stations and radio stations are running promotions, you as the presenter and perhaps your wife and your children wouldn't be allowed to run in the same thing, because now if your wife wins, how shall we know that she won because of merit or because you allowed her to win? And she might have actually won on merit.
Okay, the example you gave is understandable, but let's go back to the example of Chief Justice.
Yes.
You are then suggesting that the person, because I'm related to a certain person, I don't have the independence of mind to actually carry out my duties, despite the fact that I'm related to a certain individual.
Let me give you an example. We are talking hypothesis now.
Yes, it's purely it's an
William
academic discussion.
William Ruto is the president.
Yes.
He is the president. Yes.
The vacancy in the Chief Justice falls vacant.
Yes.
A recruitment is done.
Yes.
And the person William Ruto picks is from his village.
It is. Is it him to pick in the first place?
No, the person the government recommends.
The Judicial Service Commission.
No, the person who is appointed.
Yes.
Not even Ruto. The person who is appointed.
Yes.
Is the president's relative. But it went through all good processes. Advertise kila kitu. JSC comes and says, very well.
Yeah, this is the person.
This Bitok is one we recommend. And it happened that Bitok is first cousin to the president. And you know there'll be a general election 2027 where probably there would be
a petition.
Petition. Well, true, he can recuse himself. But in the there's something they say in court that when you recuse yourself, You don't do so because it was to avoid even the appearance of it.
Yeah.
The suggestion of it.
Yes. The mere appearance of it. You say no, so and so is qualified. And I said, when you're in the list of merit, one reason why you can be excluded, said, so and so is number 2 in the list. He's good, but because he's related to so and so, unfortunately.
No, I'm not allowed to have relatives.
City, you're not understanding. And I know you actually understand it.
I understand it perfectly.
You're just being difficult.
No, I'm actually not being difficult. Because what we're discussing here is not my relations with somebody in authority or I in authority relating to somebody else who is also in authority. No. It is the level of mistrust we have with each other.
But with good reason.
I'll get there.
Okay.
Our lived experience has indicated that is a possibility. But if we are to be honest with our lived experience, some of the things that we complain about, rarely does it happen because so-and-so is related to so-and-so.
But let me,
Hardly. It's just a certain individual who just comes from another part of the country. And for some reason, they seem to get along with somebody else. This relationship issue here, and somebody determining that I cannot therefore be in this position, it has to be determined and argued out clearly. You know why? Once upon a time, if you had a spouse, there are organizations that would not allow you and the spouse to work for that same organization
with good reason.
For the same reasons. Now you see, I am questioning that logic.
Yes, and to help you perhaps even question further and have an answer, in the 2017 election that went to the High Court and then not High Court but Supreme Court and then it was nullified. Imagine if CJ Maraga had been say Raila Odinga's brother or cousin or village mate. What would have been the question around that particular judgment? Or any of the Supreme Court judges, had any one of them been a relative of Raila? What would have been the conversation around that?
The premise of the conclusion that we often arrive at as a result of that is false. It vilifies people for things that they do not have control over. I don't have control of where I come from.
Yes, but you have control over what you apply for and how you get that job.
I do.
Yes.
But you are now going to hold it against me simply because I happen to come from a particular part of the country and somebody else happens to be related to me who comes from that particular country. None of us chose to come from that particular part of the country at that point in time. In fact, the trajectory of my life and my career had nothing to do with theirs.
Yeah, so
but simply because of that little factor, I'm now in the center of a storm. No.
Yeah. So
no, that thinking is completely faulty.
So if your brother is the head of IEBC, is the chairman of the IEBC, it's either you don't run for elections or he or she recuses themselves.
Allow me to use an English word that describes it quite clearly. That is nonsense.
There is a principle in democracy.
Yeah.
It's called forbearance. Some American professors wrote a book. It's called How Democracies Die. The guy is called Stephen Levitsky at Harvard University. It's a very famous book. And he said there's a principle called forbearance. This principle is not written. He mentioned 3 of them.
Yes.
They are not written anywhere in any constitution anywhere.
In any law.
No. But they are the ones which guide democracy. One is legitimacy, one is forbearance, the other one I'll remember later.
Okay.
Forbearance means there are things which, when you win, for example, one party wins.
Yes.
The party that has won is entitled to constitute the cabinet and build up the public service. That is their right, they won. Okay? But in certain cases, in national interest or any other interest, they may take people not of their own but from other places in national interest or in other place. What is the relevance of that in the discussion we're having? Whereas what CT is saying is structurally true.
Sound.
True. true. I won't endorse it, but structurally true. I understand. I can relate to it. Particularly the point which says, why do you exclude me simply because of biological or clan connections?
Which I had no control over.
Yes. But there is a larger issue that we're talking about. Is the public perception. How does the public see you? Okay, true. You are in the case of Maraga is Raila's cousin, like you said.
Yes.
Maraga, the cousin of Raila, could do two things when a petition comes before him. One, he could recuse himself. Two, they could say he would proceed. He recuses himself by saying we are related. Or you don't have to give a reason. But he can also decide as a justice and chief justice, I know how to distinguish between clan issues and law. That's why I'm here. So I'll hear this thing based on law, not because of relatives.
Yeah.
But why would you recuse yourself? It's not because of that dry logic we talk about. It's because of these other things, the legitimacy of what you've done, how people perceive what you've done. Not logically, not intellectually, but how do they perceive it?
Yeah.
And because you want the legitimacy of whatever it is, you want people to accept it, so you say, very well, that's it.
I like
The point I'm raising is to say that in that case, one would have expected that one individual to say, no, I will not proceed with this position. But because the individual was accepted for the reason that TCT is saying, tomorrow when something goes wrong, people will say, we knew it. We thought so.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you do when you are building up an electoral management body? Number one, and you have to go back to 2016. 2010, commissioners were recruited under IEBC, the first ones.
A question that is coming through here is about, not a question really, it's a comment by DK. And Anasema, let's do away with ballot papers and vote online. Police officers, civil servants, and politicians must keep off IEBC polling centers. IEBC must vet and select police guardian votes. All right, DK, we shall definitely discuss that point. But James, I cut you off in the previous hour when you were just telling us how the IEBC should be constituted. I believe that was where we were.
Yeah.
Kindly, Tuanze.
Let's get the history.
Yes.
2008, Electoral Commission of Kenya gets disbanded.
Why was it disbanded?
The reason why Electoral Commission of Kenya was disbanded, you can find the reason if you follow the negotiations about forming the new government, the government of national unity.
Yes.
The delegation of ODM had said the election was so bad, what we require is another election. The negotiating position was a coalition government with the prime minister. The other party did not want the issue of prime minister or a coalition. In fact, Kofi Annan had to import a minister from Germany to come and explain what this coalition is all about and things like that. They didn't want to hear prime minister.
They didn't want to hear coalition at all.
They didn't want so
wait. We brought, Kofi Annan, the former UN Secretary General, brought in a minister from Germany.
Yes.
A serving minister.
Yes.
To explain the issue of coalitions.
How coalitions
work. This was when the team went to some national park somewhere. Because the Kibaki side didn't want to hear that word.
All right.
So this fellow was brought in to explain. So why was these things disbanded? The other party was saying the quickest solution to this thing is we do another election. Okay. If the dispute is about election, let's do another one. And because they believed they had won, they wanted that other one. The other party, the last thing they wanted was an election. How do you make sure there is no election? Disband the body. That is my theory. Give me another one. Give me a better theory. My theory is the other day the Supreme Court of Kenya nullified an election. Did you disband IEBC?
No.
See, anywhere in the world, when an electoral management body delivers a bad result, we don't disband it.
Yes.
But we disbanded ECK, in my view, to make it impossible that you could run an election. But those are my theories, no?
Okay.
Now, you start from that.
And yet the IEBC did run the election.
Which one?
The ECK.
The ECK did an election. The disbandment came after the ECK had done the election. There's violence now. There's this negotiation by politicians. And one side is saying, it's all right, it was rigged. And if you are doubting it was rigged, let's do it again. The other part, or let's have a coalition. The other party is saying there is no coalition.
Yeah, let's just do it from scratch.
The other party is saying there's no coalition. We have already won.
Oh.
Yeah, the government side was saying, why coalition? We have already won this election. That's why they said accept and move on. The other party was saying, no, if you didn't lose, let's do an election. To make sure that no election was done, you disband the electoral management body. You have to give me another reason.
I get you now.
Give me another reason.
So once you disband the electoral body, there is no election.
But
who's going to run it?
Look, it may seem far-fetched.
Yeah.
We didn't have a commission in place. A place like Banissa had to endure 2 years without a representation. So you can understand the importance of having
an IEBC. Yeah.
Yes, exactly, a commission.
That is 207.
207.
So now it's disbanded. So we have IEBC, an interim body, comes up 209. IEBC's term ended in 2010 August when the new constitution came in. 2010 August, you recruited new commissioners. How you did it, I've already told you when you formed the court commission. So we started this mechanism of putting up a committee to recruit commissioners, and our court was the first one. For 2016, Isaac Hassan and group are sent home. All right? There is new recruitment. There's no recruitment until the time when they recruited for now Chebukati.
Yes.
Okay? And then another team came up, they were also recruited. That one also resigned after 2018. So the point is, you will find that between one IEBC and the next, there is always a gap. And the gap is filled in two ways, in three very irregular ways. When Isaac Hassan left, it took long before Chebukati was recruited. When the commissioners with Chebukati resigned, for 4 years or so, Chebukati was running the commission with only 2 commissioners, plus himself. Recently, when Cherera and group resigned, it took another, up to between 2022 and now, until recently, there was no commissioners. So every time we recruit commissioners, we do so saying, these are the commissioners who are going to run the next election.
Yes.
And the constitution provides that those commissioners, their time frame is 6 years. So let us take the current commissioners.
Yeah.
They were recruited this year.
Yes.
Their term ends in 6 years' time. 6 years from now is 2031. We have a general election 2032. Do you get it?
Yes.
We have a general election 2032. So now 2031, we will end up in the same crisis that we had now. You will end up picking commissioners with no experience, commissioners with no institutional memory, and hoist upon them the most challenging job of commissioners. You will also form a committee the way this one was formed.
Yeah.
When you do that, you make it, you incentivize the people in power to put in place individuals who would do their bidding when the election comes. Earlier we talked about the Indian case.
Yes.
And we talked about the chief electoral officer. We have talked about the electoral chief and the deputy. The number 3 fellow
Yeah.
will run 3 or 4 elections from the moment it's picked up. So what we need, in my view, number 1, the term of service of commissioners must go beyond 6 years. Elections are 5 years. It must go beyond 5 years. Why? Running an election is a profession.
Yeah.
You do better election the more election you run.
Yes.
These commissioners who ran the general election the other day, they had no idea how to run an election. This was the first time they were coming face to face with an election. They have no experience at all. Now you want them, these commissioners, to run a general election 2027 when they are barely prepared for it. But worse, in 2031, you'll pick commissioners whom you would want to run an election months later in 2032. So you need to extend the time of commissioners, number 1, or segregate the membership of the commission so that you say you are 7, 2 of you will retire every year, or at every given moment there will be 3 or 4 of you, so that they keep on filling up. Rotational. I don't know whether I may not be saying it well.
I'm getting you.
I'm getting you. Yeah. So if you are 7, 2 will time the expiry period of commissioners end up at different times. Okay.
So, for example, if we, like in the case of Erastus now and his team, perhaps Erastus and the deputy, retire after how long? After
6 years. It is 6 years.
But we have the remaining 5 who've got the previous experience taking over the position of chairman and deputy. Then now maybe recruit 2 more.
Just like the Supreme Court, when one judge retires, the Supreme Court goes on.
Yes.
Okay. Or the Court of Appeal, when one retires, the other go on. But in IEBC, we have come to a place where when all these commissioners, they all go together. With all the experience, with all the exposure and everything else, you start afresh. Intelligent people don't behave, intelligent societies don't behave like that. So we need one to extend it, which means amending the constitution.
Okay.
But if we can't amend the constitution, then it requires that we stagger the recruitment of commissioners. So at least we have 3 or 4 who are running the place. If you don't have that, you will end up with what we are going to end up with in 2031.
Okay.
Where you will have Ethicon commissioners coming to an end. You recruit new commissioners who will run the election the following year. It will be a big mess if it is not corrected earlier.
Okay.
So we need to have either staggered process or not. That is number 1. Number 2, the idea of having a commission that is specifically constituted to run to appoint commissioners may have merit or may not have merit. Okay, is something that we need to look into. For example, Chebukati had only 2 commissioners plus himself for almost 4 years.
Yeah.
I know the Supreme Court ruled that the quorum for IEBC is 3. But the same constitution had provided for a membership of 8. There's a reason why Kenyans who wrote the constitution wanted 8 commissioners.
Yeah.
The quorum may be 2 or 3, but you want a full commission. So why would you run a commission for 4 years below the power that's established? We need to have, as a country, a body whose responsibility is to ensure that IEBC is fully constituted. Or we need to have somebody whose job it is to bring that commission, that committee. For example, if a commissioner resigns in IEBC on Monday, the following day, the chairman of IEBC or the CEO notifies that, maybe, let's say the Chief Justice, notifies the Chief Justice. Then the Chief Justice constitutes that committee. And immediately IEBC has, so that it is not formed with a next election in mind.
Yeah.
I have told you that you need to extend the tenure, the period that you require them to do. International IDEA, which is a body that runs election, studies election, says that it takes 2 years for a newly minted commissioner to have the exposure to run an election. Ours are appointed, this one had 3 months, 4 months. Elsewhere, international standard 4 years, this one had 4 months, and they're running an election.
Yeah.
How do you think they're running this election? Do you really believe that these 4 new commissioners are the ones who looked at the budget? These new commissioners are the ones who went through the polling stations?
No.
And the register?
No.
And the procurement?
They had very little time
This
to do
was
all
done. This was done by the secretariat, which is okay for the secretariat to do that work. But the design is that commissioners should have the experience, the exposure. See, for instance, I worked with commissioners towards 2013 as you're going to the general election. You had well-exposed commissioners. They had run 10 or so by elections. They knew it like the back of their hands. They don't interfere, but they know. You know?
Who is the ideal candidate to be the IEBC chairman and actually even the commissioners? Like what qualifications should they have in terms of, you said perhaps even have some kind of experience running elections?
Qualifications or qualities? Qualifications and qualities?
They go together. Qualification with those is a basket.
Okay.
Today it says, and it's a very wrong thing. Well, not a wrong thing. I think it's something that we need to look at. It says that to be chairman of IEBC, you need to be a lawyer of standing of a certain stature, qualified to be a justice of the Supreme Court.
Okay.
Supreme Court?
Yes. Supreme Court.
Yani wewe na Maraga mkwe na akili the same.
Now you see,
not High Court, Supreme Court.
Supreme Court. Supreme Court. In my view, that is misguided.
Why?
Election, first of all, is a logistics thing. Election is not a case issue. The success of an election depends on your capacity, leadership ability, leadership to run a large organization of people and of resources and things like those. 2, election requires you to be able to relate to people at the highest levels possible. You can be Chief Justice. You don't have to be backslapping knowing fellows. 3, the chairman of IEBC, like Ethicon, the skills of a lawyer, you have a very functional legal department. You also have the AG. In other places, they look at people who are not lawyers, not necessarily a lawyer. The one I've told you in Nigeria was not a lawyer. The one I know in Ghana called Jam was not a lawyer. You know, lawyers can be there, but in my view, anybody else who meet not just the skills of a lawyer, but the character. It is a question of character and a certain level of education.
Maybe
you want an individual who, the person I would want to be chairman of IEBC is not a person who is starting their career. A person who is coming to the end of whatever career they had. They're coming to the end of it.
Okay.
A person who is committed to the idea and the project of Kenya. A person who is not going to IEBC to make a name. You've already made a name somewhere. You know? An individual for whom Kenya transcends themselves. Those are the characters you should be looking for. To say, would this person be a chairman? I told you the case of the Nigerian individual. And I told you he told assembled heads of state, will you allow me to do it? Now, that is not every Tom, Dick and Harry would ask 4 heads of state that kind of question. You must have stature.
Can we consider having a retired judge as a commissioner and perhaps even a chairman?
There is nothing wrong with that if we have a retired judge. But let us not restrict this to lawyers. I'm a lawyer myself.
Okay.
But let us not restrict this to say you must be a lawyer to be chairman of IEBC. You can be any other Kenyan with outstanding contribution and demonstrated excellence in any other area. If you can run Kengen successfully, or Safaricom successfully, or you can be the governor of the Central Bank of Kenya, why wouldn't you be chairman of IEBC? Okay, give IEBC the character and the basket of skill that you require is the individual who is able, has the presence. You know, you need an individual who will call the president and tell the president, Your Excellency, talking to the president as a leader of a political party, and to tell him, Your Excellency, here is the gun. And when he has lost, to call him and say, Your Excellency, the results are out, you have lost.
Yeah.
Or to say, earlier on you asked me,
Yes.
if the ministers are doing this, somebody who can say, can I come and see you? Go tell the president, this thing that your ministers are doing
is wrong.
Is crossing, this is wrong, this is, and if it continues, this is what we'll do, including I will resign. Okay? Now, that is the kind of individual you require.
That is actually what is in, chapter 6, leadership and integrity.
Chapter 6 says, chapter 6 is a basket of many good things which you can hardly find in one individual.
You've called it basket, but yeah.
You can hardly find all those things in one individual. You can find many of them in one person, or a person who is sensitive to all of them.
Yeah.
All right. And they are a very useful guidance to a person who is a public servant. But besides all those, what you find in chapter 6, chapter 6 does not say outstanding managerial capacity.
Yeah.
It doesn't say exceptional leadership quality. The individual you need to run IEBC is a person who has something. You have had a Kenyan ambassador here. The guy has made. So he says, I want to be chairman IEBC.
But should the person not also inspire confidence in the citizenry?
Yes.
You see, the electoral, the interviewing process that we have, and part of the reason why it's televised, when it all comes to an end and you review what went through, you need to look and say, this person inspires confidence. We know they once worked here and we know the track record there. They once did this, we know this. So yes, this is someone, I think a process like this can be entrusted to them. Now, when you have a situation where you have a chairman and you're wondering, where on earth did they find this one? That's what I wondered. I said, okay, of all the people who applied for this job, where on earth did this particular gentleman come from? What is this thing that is outstanding? Because you have a chairman, the questions about who he is and whether or not he'll be able to do this job take center stage in discussing that entire commission. And then you look at the commissioners that he has. Again, the question, okay, so these commissioners who have been appointed, do they inspire confidence? Do you look and say that I feel that this electoral process is safe in the hands of these individuals, and that we can be sure that when we have an election, these are the sort of people who will guarantee us the sort of election that the citizenry looks at and says we had a proper and election that really mirrors what the Constitution saw or foretold an election ought to be. In my opinion, they don't. Not by a long shot, they don't.
Yeah.
So even when they do a good job and their issues, as they must be in our elections, that inspiration bit then comes into play. Fingers will be pointed even when they have actually done a good job. Because, again, with our politics, people don't lose graciously.
Yeah.
Why? Because we have a history of elections that go completely south, especially when we talk about the presidential vote. We have that history.
Yeah.
So, the commission is between a rock and a hard place. Even before they begin this task that is waiting for them in 2027, they are already judged even before they actually go to that particular election.
I want again to bring to our attention this issue that was said by one DK. He said, let's do away with ballot papers and vote online. Police officers, civil servants, and politicians must skip off IEBC polling centers, and IEBC must vet and select police guarding votes. James, I don't know if there's anywhere in the world where elections, national elections such as ours, or general elections such as ours, where they do voting online or in some sort of digital space.
The country with the most sophisticated electoral gadget is Brazil. It's the most complex one, the most sophisticated one in the world. But the previous president of Brazil, the one who was jailed the other day, Jair Bolsonaro, who had been a congressman in Brazil for years, and his two children are also congressmen.
Okay.
He was elected to president using those machines. But he said those machines were not safe. Why?
Yet he benefited from their use.
Benefited from their use. Because he said it didn't have an audit trail. There's no paper trail. So when that is when he was elected.
Was he asking for a physical paper trail because a digital footprint is a trail?
No. He's saying that for it, this is a machine.
Yes.
He says for this machine to be accountable, there must be some audit paper trail that you follow.
Okay, go on.
And he's saying, it is good, yes, you're saying it is good, but where is the auditing? Where is the editing? So he became president, and he was criticizing this machine after being president. So when it was time for his re-election, he was defeated by Lula. And he said, I told you, this thing is bad. You know? And you know, he asked Brazilians to go to the military barracks so the military can take power. And hundreds of thousands of his supporters went to military barracks, urging the military to come to power. Brazil was ruled for 20 years, up from 84 up to 84, by a very bad jeshi.
Ruthless.
They forgot. And Brazil was saying, better jeshi. And they did their own on 8th of January, what Trump did in America. They also stormed the parliament and all those. That is Brazil. The other one is in India. India is a voting machine. The voting machine in India is a simple thing. Now, before I come to India one, in Brazil, how did they develop it? First, it is indigenous to Brazil. It is theirs. When they developed it, the institute that developed it gave it to the question was, how do you test it? It was given to the military to test that you cannot rig it. And the military tested it and said, yeah, kuna shida hivi, you can't rig it. And it took so long. And it is Brazilian, it is their own. In India, they took even longer to develop their electronic voting machine. I have seen it's a simple thing. And they don't have ballot papers in India. They're using that machine.
Yeah.
Now, how did they develop it? Again, when it was developed, it was given to India has got something called All Institute of Technology. Those are the best, the highest level of engineers. So they gave it to those engineers. And they looked at it. In the first instance, it was changed, the changes. Then later on, they adopted it. It took 10 years or so for them to develop and accept that. Now, there are other places like ourselves where we're using technology. The problem is, what we're using here is developed by a company called Smartmatic and another one. What we are using in Kenya is not, number one, it is not made in Kenya.
Yeah.
Number two, even where it is made, is not used there. Like there is the Kiemski, the original one, was made in France.
Right. And they don't even use it.
They don't use it there. Number two, every 4 years, the shelf life of this voting machine expires in 4 or 5 years. So if the one which you bought in 2017, you had to buy a new one. They bought, I think, 45,000 at a price of 3.3 billion. Now for this election, they want to buy about 47,000 at a price of 7 billion.
Okay. Double the amount.
Yes. Now, all the machines which were used will be discarded. It is not ours. So, it is done by those other fellows. You know? So the question is, you can use a voting machine if you want to do it, but it should be, as far as possible, indigenous to you, so that you know how to use it. Must be simple. That's why the Brazilians are having a problem, although theirs is one of the best in the world. The Indians don't have. By the way, the Indian one, although acknowledged by Indians and everybody else to be the best, some years back, they gave it to the university, Yale University engineers.
In US.
Yes. And the engineers in Yale University looked at it and said, yeah, this can be rigged. Everybody had said Awezekani, but they found a way it can be tampered with.
Is there really a system that cannot be tampered with?
Good. So there is, all system can be tampered with. The question is how easy and to what extent.
But,
so to answer your question, you can have paperless voting. And it is in Brazil, it is in India. It can be done. But it depends on so many other factors. It depends on literacy level. It depends on other things that support that technology. In Kenya today, if you have this like Kiemski that IEBC has, if you have it, you need what do you call this Safaricom availability? What is it? It's called coverage.
The network.
The network. There are so many places in Kenya where you don't have that network. Where that network is not there, IEBC is forced to use satellite telephone and others, virtual private network. You know, things like those.
Yeah.
It means we are not there to use it universally at the same level. When you are using a satellite, say in North Hor, and you are using something different, let's say in Kiambu, you are not using the same thing.
Okay.
It may deliver the same result.
Yes.
But that difference should not be there. So we can aspire to use those machines. But Kenyans must be very careful. Digitization itself is not a keyword to the impulse to rig and the impulse to cheat. Digitization does not instill in you good manners. If you are prone to lying and cheating and things like those, even with the best technology, you will cheat. And that is the reason why in Kenya, in 2013 we had a server issue. In 2013 we had a server issue. 2017 a server issue. 2022 a server issue. Don't be surprised if in 2027 we still have a server issue.
Now,
is it possible to have a system whose functionality or whose shelf life goes beyond an electoral cycle of 5 years? Say something that has a shelf life of, say, 20 years. I'm thinking of, say, the turbines that we use in Olkaria, Toshiba to be precise, made in Japan, 35 years old, still going. Is it possible to have a system of that sort? And do we have countries who have systems that have worked for as long as they wanted them to work?
India. So we just told you India.
Yes.
India has a system. India has got a voting machine. And
it
I'm
hasn't
sure
expired yet.
It doesn't expire. They developed it. So they just add the machines.
They just add the software, whatever.
What
that
we
is
require
required.
then
Yes.
is, and you see, the difference is, it is not a fanciful thing. You know, it's not a fanciful gadget. It's simple. Now, and maybe if you bought 45,000 Indian gadgets, maybe it will be less than 1 billion. So if you want to make money on the side, that's not something you're looking for.
Is it possible to have a way whereby we vote using our again, this is technology, because if I can register for my what is this thing called, my passport online, and just go and pick it. If I can register for my PIN certificate and I just, receive it on my email and I have my PIN certificate, and the government knows Paul Mungalambuvi is a taxpayer in this country, why am I not also able to vote in a similar way? Using my PIN or using my ID, I vote online such that on this day that we have decided we're going to, today for example is 9th of December. 9th of December is the day that we're having elections. I just get onto my portal that have been provided for by the government using the credentials that we decide on, and I just go there, choose my president, choose my member of parliament, national woman rep, and all those positions, and be done with this business. By 5 p.m. we know who the president is, we know who the governor is, we know who the senator is, and we move on.
That can be done, but it depends on many other things. Number one, that is Paul.
Yeah,
you are well educated, you have a good phone, and you have the know-how.
Yes.
But one of the things in democracy is called equality of the vote. Equality of the vote means your vote and his vote are the same, number one. It also means that every other process is the same. Okay, that is why when we were doing election 2013, the Prime Minister Raila Odinga had to be registered in public somewhere in Kibera. And although we sent someone to register Kibaki, there's a team that did it. Equality of the vote means just that if you cast your vote in Nairobi and somebody cast his vote in Karachuonyo, it's the same. Number one. Number two, there's a big percentage of Kenyan people who may not have the phone that you require to do that. They have a phone, but not the phone you require to do that.
Okay.
Secondly, or thirdly, it is true that you can have that. But in 2016, in America, when Trump was elected president, there was an allegation that there was rigging, that there was interference with the American electoral assets by Russia. Okay, you've heard of the Mueller Commission, Mueller the Third Commission. So there was a commission by somebody headed called Mueller.
Right.
And Mueller, after doing inquiry, came up with the conclusion that said, yes,
there was interference.
There was interference by Russia. The Russians were not in America, they were in Russia. Two, Hillary Clinton, in the same election, had his own undemocratic assets also interfered with. Again, the people who interfered with Hillary Clinton's data were not in America, they were outside. Still on that point, in 4 years ago, the Observer newspaper, the one you know, and other newspapers, they formed a special team of special journalistic investigators. And they asked this team, the way they did the Panama Papers. Right. They asked this team how are elections rigged in Africa. And they went around doing that investigation. Right. Cutting a long story short, they found an Israeli firm which bragged that they had rigged about 30 elections in Africa. Now, the point I'm mentioning this is that this Israeli firm, which found that they had rigged about 30 elections in Africa, including in Kenya, including They said they had even accessed routers, the P8 route or something. They accessed his own data. They said so. This Israeli firm was said that when they were approached to rig the election in Nigeria, they were approached by an individual who is a billionaire who had made money in oil. But this billionaire, this is very important. This is why I mentioned this point.
Yes.
This billionaire was not acting on behalf of the Nigerian government. He just had his money and he paid for it. Why is this point important? Number one is that if we go the route you are saying, we digitize it. The more you digitize it, the more it can be rigged. But we proceed on the assumption that rigging is done by the government. See? But I've just shown you now that in Nigeria, these fellows were saying the person who was asking rigging was an individual. So you are an individual in Uhuru government, you've been fed well on your own solo motion. You go and tell somebody to rig it.
Because of your own interests.
So digitization is a good thing, but digitization is not a cure for our everyday problems. One, it can be rigged, not just by the government, but by anybody else. Even in the last electoral petition, you heard them talking of, was it Venezuelans?
The Camagos.
Those guys were talking outside. It happens. It happened in the US, it happened elsewhere. So we can do digitization. You can bring the Brazilian electoral machine if you wish to, if you have the money. But why bring the Brazilian machine? Why bring the Smartmatic? Why don't you go to India? And there's something else that the Indians can do for you. They can help you design one for yourself, which will be there for maybe 20 years. It is simple. You can use it for a long time. But as a caution, this feeling that Kenya must go headlong into the front tires of technology in elections, it's sexy, it's romantic.
It looks good, sounds good.
Sounds good. But let's move to as a society. North Horr is in Kenya. Karachuonyo is in Kenya. Kiambu is in Kenya. Kilifi, Lamu Ukuope is in Kenya. We have to see, the thing we are proposing, is it good for all of us, the totality of all the Kenyans? I've heard that Gen Zs are saying they want a much more expedited way of voter registration because they say they cannot queue at polling stations. The queue could be what you're saying, but the queue could be telling IEBC. IEBC has a mandate for continuous voter registration, meaning you can just walk there every day. The queue could be to facilitate IEBC so that IEBC says, we will register you within 2 minutes when you arrive.
But there's been complaint also of the distance from one end of the county to where the registration is. So that could also be one of the problems.
All those things, if you facilitate IEBC very well and say, this is what we want. We want that anybody who comes to register must not stay there for 1 hour. They'll do it. But IEBC will not provide electricity. IEBC will not provide the network coverage. If all those things are in place, it can be done. But, Paul, why do we want to go there? How many of our Kenyan voters read political manifestos? How many of our Kenyan voters vote on basis of an issue rather than on issue of ethnicity and an issue? How many of Kenyan voters, why do Kenyan voters, when they go for a rally, all these mammoth rallies you see,
yes,
people are paid to go to those rallies. That is the reason why in the last by-elections, there were mammoth rallies, but very few of that fraction turned up to vote. Where did they go? Because when you go to a rally, you are paid. Now, we have not educated our people sufficiently to understand the basic essence of democracy. Why don't we go pole-pole? And we move together as a discussion. The only thing we need is integrity. The only thing we need is trust.
How do we educate the public, James, on, because you've rightly put it, when we go for the, what are they called, rallies, of course, crowds, mammoth wanatokezea, but the same crowd doesn't know their rights, as far as, not their rights, but don't know their responsibility as far as choosing the right leader for them is concerned. I believe they do. They just choose not to. So again, for me, it boils down to the question of patriotism. Are we patriotic enough to conduct our civic and political duties?
Do we even understand patriotism? Do you understand what it means?
A good question, yes.
In our instance.
Yeah.
Because we confused patriotism and nationalism. Somebody said the nationalism is the privilege, is the preserve of the harlot. Patriotism,
yes.
The one essence of patriotism is capacity to criticize yourselves mercilessly. That is patriotism.
Yes.
When people criticize their country, and if you travel to Tanzania, Zamani, and you travel to Kenya, even now,
yeah.
The other day I was having a meeting with some Malawian somewhere in Kenya here, and they were wondering that Kenyans talk so critically of our government. It's like everything is wrong.
Yeah.
So I asked him, you see, that is patriotism. We love our country. Uko kwao, you can hardly, they are in the era of Moi and Kenyatta.
So they're practicing nationalism?
Yes, nationalism. You just say that I'm like the Tanzanians.
Yes.
For a long, long time, they were nationalistic. Okay? The Tanzanians never bothered whether the elections were being rigged or not. It is now that they are seeing it. And it's come late to them at a very high price. On the other hand, Kenyans have been patriotic because the impulse that Kenyans have of criticizing things, it's a good thing. And you know, many Kenyans truly love Kenya. I don't think there are very many Kenyans who would go and live in Ethiopia. Even if you go there, you won't last. If you've traveled in Africa, go to Nigeria. You say you want to come back to Kenya.
If I go abroad, for that matter, and live there, and you'll realize you are actually better off coming back home.
So we should be. It's patriotism.
Yes.
So what we need is to understand the role of democracy, and you will not understand democracy. You will not embrace democracy overnight. Even today, the Americans who are supporting Trump have no idea what the guy is talking about. They simply know they don't like black fellows and immigrants. That's all. And they think that is patriotism. True.
Yeah.
And you find that even in Germany.
Actually, that there is nationalism.
Yes.
Yeah.
What they're practicing, what you see there, that's nationalism. Because they believe that the thinking that is being expressed by this particular leader is in fact the very thing that actually defines their being and their existence.
Yeah.
You know, when you're patriotic, or you know these t-shirts that people like wearing, I love Kenya.
These bracelets that we wear.
Yeah, those of you like wearing those bangles that have black,
the Kenyan flag,
green, and what's the other color?
White.
Okay. There's no red.
There is red.
That's what I thought. So that is not nationalism. That is you being patriotic. Okay? You are expressing a certain emotion. Nationalism, you know, this is always the problem. If you look at any country that has, say, a socialistic leaning towards life or a political ideology, you will find that will be the dominant understanding of how the nation should move and how people should think. And that's where Tanzania comes in. As nationalism. Yes.
Until now.
Oh, now it's a completely different discussion.
Yeah, they are waking up.
Until now.
Actually,
Smelling the coffee.
Yes. Until now.
Waking up, I don't know, man.
They were in a trance?
No, they were not. They were not in a trance. That system worked for them. When you have a party like CCM that has been in power for an extremely long time. By the way, CCM wasn't there at independence. No. They are the equivalent of KANU at independence. It was called TANU. Right? But when they united with Zanzibar's Afro-Shirazi party is when they became CCM.
Okay.
They have been unchallenged until now. Now that gives you a certain mindset to the point where I was telling you earlier on.
Yes.
You believe that you only need to say it for it to be law, for it to be true. There's a belief that is predominant that you can't possibly be wrong, and anyone who gives you an alternative view must be against you. And yet all they've done is offered an alternate view. How do you explain a situation where someone you consider to be a key opposition leader, one, his party is banned from fielding candidates,
yeah.
Banned. Then that person in jail now, and then you have a free,
and you guys are okay,
and you're okay with it, and then you even have a free and fair election according to you. How is that possible? How? And then you post a percentile of a win that everyone on this globe questions and says, "Hey, this one."
And you know, City, sorry to cut you short.
No, I had finished what I was saying actually.
Let me add what you're saying.
Yes.
I'm not cutting you short, I'm adding, I'm enriching what you're saying. The election that the Tanzanians did recently was preceded by their local government elections. The local government election was done either this year or last year. And what happened in Tanzania is this. Number one, Tanzania has got an independent electoral management body. So number one, the local government elections were not done by their equivalent of IEBC. Those were done by the Ministry of called Regional Affairs or something. The name is Regional Affairs. So the minister responsible for that and the ministry are the ones who did this. Do you know that in that election, for those local government election, this is done at the street level, at the village level. Do you know that CCM got 98%?
That's what we were told.
But virtually they got 98%, but virtually 98% of the opposition were disqualified. And who ran that election? A minister who was rumored to be related to the president.
That issue we're talking about.
That was running that election. And you see, Tanzanians didn't protest. The political parties protest, but the average person didn't protest. You know, I think part of the reason in Tanzania, in my view, is that for the largest part, Tanzanians were very proud to be on the vanguard of liberation of Africa. And they saw us as traitors. So for a long time, they were very proud. And they understood that to support this liberation, there will be struggles and there will be sacrifices. And Nyerere told them, you'll pay for this. And they were happy to do those sacrifices. Another thing, in sacrificing for that, in the interest of greater liberation for Africa, internal democracy in TANU or in CCM was a subsidiary issue. I think it is now that they're coming to terms with what we are doing. And but they'll get there.
They will get there.
They will get there.
Yeah,
they will get to where we are. But us, ourselves, we should not run ahead of ourselves. In the sense where we are saying, let us now digitize everything. All right?
Okay.
That will not be the solution we need.
So that's not the solution. Two, if you want to digitize, let's help IEBC. Where is this technology coming from? If you get this technology from
the UK.
No, from France. Or from mathematics from US, and you bring them. They don't use it there. And every 4 years, imagine, in 2017 we paid 3.2 billion. Now they want to pay 7 billion. If this is something you could take to primary schools, that would be different.
Okay.
But this is something we're going to discard with a dustbin. You know, in an economy like our own, that is why Kenyans end up saying that the cost of running an election in Kenya is very expensive. Why? Because of this belief amongst the Kenyan political class that you need two things. One, to digitize as much as you can. And number two, our failure to build enduring structures in IEBC. And the worst failure, which we must do before, and Paul, I can't leave here before saying that IEBC
in 30 seconds, sorry.
Yes, IEBC deserves to be challenged. IEBC deserves to be criticized. But we must understand that IEBC will not do its work unless the political hygiene is correct.
Thank you.
There are institutions in Kenya. There are agencies in Kenya. If those ones fail to do their work, IEBC will not deliver. So as we criticize IEBC for not doing this, for not doing that, we must distinguish which blame lies in IEBC and which one outside. Even the one City mentioned earlier about the chairperson or so and so not being qualified. IEBC cannot elect its own chairman.
Thank you. That's where we come to a close as far as this conversation is concerned.